Good afternoon. This is Holly Anton. I'm an integrative psychologist with Sutter's Institute of Health and Healing in Santa Rosa. And today's topics were really geared on helping people find states within themselves that are antidotes or medicine for stress and for one's own distress and others' distress. And I chose the three general topics of patience and generosity and commitment as aspects of well-being. Earlier today, I was talking about patience as a form of engaged presence with one's direct experience in the spirit of calm abiding, that is, to be with, to be close, and to be calm without trying to meddle, without trying to push things away or alter them. And so cultivating ways of experiencing patience or remembering times where you felt patient or witnessed someone else's patience in a way that struck you is a way of being able to internalize that resource. Now, generosity I see as a very closely related state to patience. It's also an agreement, a willingness, an interest in being close to one's direct experience in the moment, a willingness to accept what is found. And then the generosity piece isn't about giving something to change the moment. It's about the giving of one's attention to it, the offering of acceptance as a gift. So as a couple of ways of being able to work with that experientially right now. The starting place is always coming into stillness within yourself as you are with whatever you brought into this call, with whatever's lingering in your thinking mind and your talking mind, in your mind of images and urges and planning and problem solving. And so whatever you brought in your mind that is still here with you right now, and noting what that is. And now expanding the lens of your awareness to also take in the sensation of your body. Specifically, your thinking mind is located approximately maybe in your head. So notice that you can be aware of your thought process as well as the physical experience of your head, your face, the top of your head, the back of your head. And perhaps even a general sense of that activity, what that activity feels like between the ears. And then broadening the lens a little further to also take in the throat and the neck, noticing, and the shoulders, arms, and wrists and hands, and fingers. Continuing to widen that lens of awareness to take in the whole upper body, the back, the chest, the ribs, and then deeper inside the heart that's beating, if you can feel that. And of course, though, waves of breath. And aware now also of not just the head and the upper body and the activity between the ears, but also the lower body, the low belly, the tailbone, the sit bone and the pelvic floor, the legs and knees and lower legs, ankles and feet, toes. There is this felt sense of you being a whole being. Can you check in on that? And turning your attention to the inner world. And if there's any bracing or holding in the body, allowing that to ease. So if you've ever been on the receiving end of someone's generosity, not the generosity of material things necessarily, but the generosity of one giving you their full attention, with no judgment, kind curiosity. A willingness to accept whatever happens to be your experience, an interest in it, but not trying to meddle with it. They're not trying to alter it. They're just close and giving of the attention to you. Notice what it's like to allow yourself to receive. Patient, kind, accepting attention. And again, using the breath to help the body open and calm down with receiving the experience of the moment. So in this way, starting to notice your own generosity toward yourself, your own willingness to give open attention to your experience. And of course, some aspects of your experience may call for more generosity than others. As it's natural for each of us to, when we direct our attention, our mind has this habit of looking for problems. It's been rewarded for doing that so many times. So it's something to notice that when you want to give your attention, what's the quality of attention that you're giving? Are you looking for a problem? Are you trying not to see a problem? So that function of the mind, we're letting it take a rest. That function of the mind that's looking for things to fix or plan or get away from. We can bring our kind attention to that activity of the mind, like, yeah, look at it do that. There it goes, looking for another problem. It's going to find something to fix. It'll just keep at it. Be generous with that habit of the mind. Be kind, friendly, but not meddle with it. Not try to change it and not try to make it go away. But notice that it is just a sliver of your experience. It's not the whole thing. If you broaden that lens, there's wisdom in you that knows the difference between your thinking and who you are. So this generosity comes from who you are. And you can bring this moment's attention to your inner world. And just notice what you can give yourself to. Notice what you can be in close contact with of your experience without getting involved with it. Can you notice your sensory experience? What your eyes see? What your ears hear? The sense of your body and its current posture? The awareness of your breathing being a natural process? Giving yourself this attention, maybe you would notice how it feels to receive that as well. Notice what it feels like to receive your own kind presence. And I hope you can feel the harmonious nature of the way patience and a spirit of generosity complement each other. We're not patiently waiting for something to change. We're patient with what is. And the willingness to offer that is the generosity of spirit. It also happens to be what's most effective. We're not even worried about trying to get something from our generosity. We're not even going to worry about trying to get an effective tool from this generosity. It is of itself a gift, given freely. So with no strings attached, and being with your own experience of your inner world, I hope you can notice there's a stillness and a settling. It's natural consequence of patience and generosity with yourself. And as you sit with your experience, noticing whatever comes to your attention, if you notice the mind's activity, engage with some piece of that experience, grab onto some piece of it, start wanting to worry it into something. Direct your attention to that thought process, that way that the mind is trying to grab onto that. Can you breathe with some patience with that? This is the mind doing what the mind is trained to do. I like to say the mind wanders, but we don't have to wander around with it. And the whole of your experience does not wander. This moment's experience doesn't have that quality of the mind of bouncing and wandering and hopping from one thing to the next. You can broaden that lens to take in your full experience of just this moment. Then you can really feel who you are relative to the mind's activity. That turns out to be helpful to notice that. Now there's another aspect to generosity. Because while I've been suggesting, perhaps you've been noticing your inner experience, the inner world, the distinction actually between inner world and outer world is not quite so black and white. Because everything that is your experience right now came to you, is coming to you, is brought to you in this moment by everything that's not you. So the sum total of your experience is coming to you from everything else that's not you. So in this way, your experience is also your connection to everything. What's coming in through your eyes, through your ears, through your heart, through your wisdom, as well as what's coming to you through your mind's habits, your body's different physical experiences, some of them pleasant, some of them less pleasant. So being generous with this experience is also recognizing that we are generously being given to. Everything we've got came from somewhere else. And patience works its way into this practice because this is very difficult to stay with one's full experience. The conditioning is very deep, very habitual. So it calls for patience and generosity as you cultivating the willingness to come on back. Come on back. This moment is all you're being asked to respond to. Just this one. And again, check in with your body. If you've started tightening up anywhere, let your breath ease that. If your mind is here or there, or rather not here, but there, you don't have to fight with what your mind is up to. Just drop back into what your breath and your body are doing right now. What you see, what you hear, inwardly and from the outer. And allow yourself to rest here. Notice the way the breath is received and given. Received and given. It's our constant reminder. It's an ever-present place to drop our attention, to remind each of us of these very fundamental practices of coming back to yourself, so that you can respond wisely to the current moment's calling. So in a couple of minutes, I'm going to close the call, but I would like to give you a chance to practice to be, to give and receive with yourself for a couple of minutes. And drop in, I hope, into deeper and deeper stillness with yourself. And then I'll come back in a couple of minutes and close the call together.